Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and it's Women's History Month, and I'm here today to talk to you about Hetty Feathers Season 1. I have been wanting to talk about this show forever and ever and ever and ever. I've actually only talked about and reviewed the Christmas episode, and that was about it. And so, it just took me a long while because, it's free to watch on, what's that app? Starts with a B. Let's see, BYU TV. And so, since it's free, the BYU TV, I decided, I can't wait to rewatch it because I got all these streaming sites that I'm paying for and all this other stuff. But then, how they always get you with discounts and all this other crap. And I'm like, man, I've been saying this for years. I have not been able to watch DVDs or free apps for the longest time. But yeah, this show came out in 2015. It is a British show set in the Victorian era. It came out in America in 2018, which I had no idea at that time that it was on the BYU TV app, because it's kind of funny how I got introduced to this show. I was on YouTube, right? And it got recommended to me for some bizarre reason. I'm not sure why. And so I'm like, Hetty Feather, what the heck is that? And it looked like one of those old-timey, old-fashioned type shows. I'm like, oh, okay, I like stuff like that, set in the Victorian age and, the horse and buggy type days and stuff like that. So I'll check it out. And when I checked it out, I believe it was season 4. And it was at first it took me a while to get into it, but then after that, I started loving this show. So I'm like, man, I'm missing out. So I started looking it up online and, researching, and I found some more episodes on YouTube, but not every episode was there. And then somehow, I think I searched for it on my TV, and that's how I found the BYU TV app. And yeah, it's been free there for the longest time and everything. And so this show is amazing, man. And I mean, it is amazing. It is it starts off kind of like a preteen, then teen drama. It is so good. It's better than most adult dramas and stuff. I believe it's rated PG. And it's a really emotional, touching show that just, it warms your heart up, man. This is a good show. Now, Hetty Feather has only been adapted twice. First, in theater in 2014, and then in 2015 they had a revival in the theater. But then, like I said before, this show came out. This is the only screen version of Hetty Feather. There's never been a movie. I don't even think there's been an animated series, I don't believe, and stuff. So that's kind of really odd. And Hetty Feather is based on a novel, several novels or books. Jacqueline Wilson is the one who wrote these books back in the day. She has come under fire recently for her J.K. Rowling type trans remarks. See, she started talking about trans kids because somebody asked her a question. Because see, the thing about her books is even though they're for kids, they don't talk down to you, they talk up to you. And they tackle a lot of serious issues. So one day somebody asked her, hey, would you ever write a book about a trans kid tackling certain issues, stuff like that? And she said that if she had a good enough reason to do it, then she'll do it, but she ain't gonna jump on the bandwagon. Then she followed that up with talking about how little kids having plastic surgery to turn to the other gender and other stuff like that. So it caused a bit of a firestorm, and a lot of people were upset about that. When it comes to her comments, they're not as bad as JK, I'll give you that. But it is a bit insensitive because she does write a bunch of books that hit heavy topics. And, trans kids go through stuff and, that could help people understand them better. But clearly she does have a problem with them. But it's I do get the whole idea of not jumping on the bandwagon. That's the problem with modern day Hollywood, that they keep jumping on the bandwagon. That's why all this diverse content is not doing well. They're not picking good writers, directors, showrunners, and actors. They're just throwing stuff on there, wanting people to watch because it's diverse for them. And that's why it's like failing and stuff. Now, as for the whole plastic surgery thing, I've said this before. I'm just not a fan of plastic surgery, period. I don't like fillers, implants, nothing like that. So I don't like the idea of kids having plastic surgery. Because for the most part, a lot of kids, and I don't care who these kids are, you know how kids are. Like one minute they like this and then the next minute they like that. So their minds are always changing. I say if they really want to like change their like body, which is a big alteration and stuff, at least just wait until you're an adult or an older teenager or something like that. Little kids, I understand their desire to be who they want to be, and I'm all for that. But I just don't like the idea of young kids getting plastic surgery, especially when kids' minds are constantly flip-flopping. But from what they say, the average of a transgender person wanting to revert back to their original gender is about 1%. So since I'm an outsider looking in, I will take their advice and everything and say it's only 1%. So Helen Blackman, I believe, is the one who created this show. And it stars that of Isabel Clifton. And Isabel, my God, she is amazing in this role. And I mean, she is amazing. She brings so much life into Hetty Feather that you, honest to God, believe she's a real person. And every time she's sad on screen or something terrible happens to her, which is a lot, like you just feel terrible and bad. Now, Isabel is a brunette in real life, and she has blue eyes, so they had to dye her hair red. And her hair will change different variations of red throughout the entire run of the 6-season run. Yes, this lasted for 6 seasons. Every season is really good except for season 5. I hate season 5 to death, and I mean to death. And I believe that's why season 6 was so short, only being 3 episodes and stuff. Because normally this show is like 10 episodes and they're 20 minutes long. And like I said before, there is a Christmas special. Now, it also crossed over with The Worst Witch, the Netflix one, which that was a funny cameo. I was not expecting that. But it also crossed over with something called Dumpling Ground, where the kids in Dumpling Ground, I think, fell asleep watching like Hetty Feather, and they believed they were like in her world or something like that. I've never seen Dumpling Ground. I have no idea what that is. And so like, when it comes to Hetty, like I said, with red hair, I think her freckles are real. Now, the little girl who plays little Hetty had wear blue contacts, and you can tell those are contacts. Those eyes were bright blue. Maybe they dyed her hair, or maybe they gave her a wig. I'm not really sure. And what's really interesting is that, okay, Hetty's a redhead, she's an orphan, and lots of bad stuff happens to her, and she's always having to save the day. Now who does that sound like to you? And Shirley, maybe? I swear to God, man, people take too much inspiration from other people's work and everything. Because I swear to God, that sounds just like Anne Shirley from Green Gables and stuff. And so what this show entails is that it entails that of young Hetty Feather, who is an orphan at a founding hospital. Watching this show was the first time I've ever heard of a founding hospital. And I could not believe the things I read about that stuff. The founding hospital has been in London for over 280 something years. It got dissolved in 1951, and it wasn't exactly the best place you want to live. Basically, it's like this. Parents or people who would have kids and did not want them would take them to the founding hospital so they can be foster kids and orphans and stuff. And basically, they would be there as babies, or they would pretty much be there as babies until they're about, a little bit older, like probably like, I don't know, 2 or something like that. And then they will go to the foster system where they will stay with a family. When they're around the age of 5, they will go back to the founding hospital. Their hair will get cut off. they will be giving brand new name, Christian names and stuff, because they believe these kids was born in sin because their parents were not married and did not love each other and gave them up and stuff. Boy, that's some messed up crap. Then it gets worse than that. Then while they're there, they're separated. The girls on the girls' wing and the guys on the guys' wing, and they are never allowed to interact unless it's for certain occasions. And so the girls, every day, they do chores. They clean the floors. They are taught to be maids and servants every single day, while the guys will also do chores of cleaning, but they are taught to be soldiers so that they can go into the Navy and stuff and serve their country. That is literally set in place for them and nothing else, unless their parent come back for them and stuff. And that's messed up. Like, it's bad enough you're an orphan, but now you're forced to be a maid or you're forced to be a soldier. And like, there was never no time for education. So these people were literally uneducated and stuff because they didn't teach them like the school system. They would go to church on Sunday and that's about it. And so because of that, and the living conditions were like dirty, and like the matrons and the people, the nurses running it were really cruel to those kids and stuff. At some point in time, I think it got either shut down, or it got reworked into something completely different. But it was terrible. And if they couldn't manage to be a maid or in the Navy and stuff, then they get put into the workhouses. And the workhouse is basically like a sweatshop. And I've only seen one depicted on this show, and it is disgusting and filthy and nasty. All you do is wash clothes and stuff like that. And like, but some people were lucky enough to find love, get married, or like be gardeners and stuff like that, or take up some type of like profession like being a printing press or something like that, but it was very rare. This went on for over 300 years in London. That is insane. Like, I can't believe it. And so this opened my eyes big time because I never knew anything about that. Like, never and stuff. And so Hetty, like I said before, of course, is in the system. And not only is she in the system, but so are tons of other kids that we'll get to know in the show. Now, this differs from that of the book big time. The show wanted to be more dramatic and everything like that. Since I've never read the book, I could care less, but it would have been, they do keep some things in from the book, so that's great. So it's like, you have Gideon and stuff like that. You have Harriet and Matron Bottomley, but here's the interesting thing. See, the books are written in Hetty's perspective. And since she never got to go to the guys' wing, she never truly knew how Gideon was doing or any of the guys and stuff like that. So every man and every guy you see in this show, whether they're a kid or whatever, is completely made up for the show. And they made some really interesting characters. Now, Gideon's personality and things with him have changed as well. And I'll get into that a little bit later. I'll get into some of the changes that they've made with some people. Now, the show is diverse. So they've race bent a couple of characters like Gideon, who's black, and one of the nurses is now black, and Harriet, I'm not sure what race this actress is. She might be Asian and white. I believe she's mixed with Asian and white. So like, yeah. So that's cool that they decided to have some like diverse characters, because I really enjoyed that. But then I was always kind of weird as, okay, Hetty and Gideon are supposed to be brother and sister, one white, one black. I don't get that. But like, oh, okay, they're family brothers and sisters. Now, Hetty and Gideon's foster siblings don't all make it into the show. Eliza, the other founding sister, she makes it into the show. Jim makes it into the show. Now, they changed Jim for the better, because I didn't like the stuff that they talked about him in the book. That was kind of weird. But all the other brothers and sisters and them, they don't make it into the show. And when we see the beginnings, we get to see Hetty as a teeny tiny little girl. She does not want to leave her foster family, and she doesn't want to leave Gideon and have to go back to that of the founding hospital because she hasn't seen that place since she's been like a little teeny tiny kid baby type thing. And she loves her foster family so much. They're so kind, they're so caring and stuff. And Jim tells her, when you get out, we'll be a family again and this and that. Well, there's a problem. Her and Gideon can't be together, her foundling brother, because he's a boy, she's a girl, and they have to be on separate wings. So it's heartbreaking for both of them as, they're trying to hold each other's hand but can't and being dragged off. The matron is a very cruel and evil woman. And like I said before, she will cut your hair off, especially if you do something bad. You get spankings, you have tons of chores, and you get put in the trench. The trench used to be an ice box. And so it's just a really dark room with rats and stuff like that, and you can't see. And the matron is pure evil. She is Hetty's nemesis, and who's causing all so much harm towards her and the other kids, and it's Hetty who wants to fight the power. Hetty is a natural born leader. She ain't gonna let nobody disrespect her. She ain't gonna let nobody keep her away from her foundling brother, and she ain't gonna let the matron and all the other adults like treat them like crap. I love how these kids stick together because she literally tells Sheila, who's her bully, that we're nothing, we're foundlings, nobody cares about us, we stick together and we look out for one another. It is their true family and everything. And I love that like dynamic in the show. And so like while there, she was put there back in there when she was 5. So when she's 12, this is when the show picks up and we see an older Hetty and stuff. And she hasn't seen Gideon since. And it's to the point where she almost forgot him. He has completely forgotten about her. But she is determined to like find a way to like, meet up with him again, and she eventually does by dressing up like as a boy and all this other stuff. But Gideon does not remember her and wants nothing to do with her until she starts flooding his head with memories. And when she does that, he's all happy and excited. So they find a way so they can all be together, a little hiding spot and everything up in the attic, because she's always crawling around the rafters and everything, trying to find a way to like get to him on the other side of the wing. Well, there are complications in the series. Like, she has Sheila, who's her bully. She has the matron who will punish her for the littlest thing. And Hetty breaks the rules as much as possible so she can like, help the other students, stuff like that. She will not let you disrespect the other like foundlings and stuff, especially that of Gideon. And she would even take the blame for other people. When Eliza shows up, Eliza is a hard-headed as they come. When she got her hair chopped off, she became a little brat. And so when it comes to that of Hetty and Eliza really does not remember her because, she was just a baby, but like her family told her about her, except for Jim, which breaks Hetty's heart. Now, Jim in the books, he tells Hetty that, when you grow up, we're going to get married, this and that. That's just something he tells her. And he told the same thing to Eliza. Basically, in the show, it reworks that to where they have a cool little clubhouse type thing in a tree. And that's their special spot that nobody else knows about. And he says, when you get older, you're going to come back and live as a family. And he told the same thing to Eliza, which breaks the heart of Hetty. This never happens in the show. They do sneak Jim in so he can talk to her, but the matron always sends back the letters. The matron, I'll get to her a little bit later. And so he tells her, when you leave this place, we'll be a family again. Just to let you know right here, right now, that never happens. When she does leave that place, she never meets with him or her foster family again. And she forgets all about Eliza. And so, like, what is it? So every time Hetty finds out something the matron is doing bad, she tries to sabotage it. They are, like I said before, they are literally like Batman and the Joker. They hate each other and stuff. And But Hetty wants nothing more but to leave that place. And so one day, her, Gideon, and Matthias are all going to sneak out and run away. But Gideon hurt his foot, and she decided to stay, and Matthias is the only one who left. And so there are times when she gets put in the trench. And she hates it there because, like I said, it's completely dark and you can't see nothing. But she does have a group of friends that she gets along with very well, which of course Sheila hates those friends as well. And so, like, Hetty believes this one lady could be her mother, a lady who works at the circus. And because when she was younger, she saw this lady, and apparently they the only two who have red hair, so she assumed, hey, it must be my mama. Well, Hetty wants to sneak away and go be with that lady. And so, like, in the book, she runs away just like in the show. But in the book, she actually stays and works in the circus. They didn't do that here in the show. I wish they did for at least a season, but they didn't. But it happens all in one episode, the finale. And the lady literally informs her, like, yo, man, I'm not your mom and everything, but I feel bad and everything, only for the matron to find her and drag her back and lock her in a room. Now, Hetty is very resourceful. She knows how to make a key out of like a wire and pick a lock. And so when her and her other friends, who are always sneaking in the matron's place, they discover that the matron has been selling foundlings and making about 50 pounds or more and stuff. And so every foundling has a file: their original birth name, the year they was born, and their token. The token is the only thing that helps them know who is who for when their parents come back for them, if the parents come back for them. And so Hetty's file is partly missing because the matron got rid of it. The matron hates her so much that she was gonna sell Hetty to India and everything. And when Hetty and the others found this out, they told one of the other adults in charge, only for the matron to lie her way out of it. And so because of that, Hetty got to stay because the lady's all like, oh, the money is not money for my bribe. Oh no, it's something I'm gonna donate. So he's like, all right, fine, I'll donate the money. And so, like, and he's all like, and she lied about Hetty's age, saying that she's 14. Because when they become 14, that's when they go into the maid service and in the military. That's too young, but you gotta remember the age of consent is 16 in London, which is really gross. And I think the alcohol drinking age is that age as well. And so, like, because she's underage, they're like, oh no, you can't send her there and stuff. So while Hetty gets to stay, she's gonna make it her personal business to take down the matron, especially when the next seasons come, because a whole lot more worse stuff happens. This show is like heavy deep. It can get dark at times, and like I said before, it can get very, very, very emotional and stuff. And it's to the point where, like, oh man, you feel so bad for that girl because she's literally has done nothing wrong. She has a big heart, a heart that she just wants to fill with a family, and that will never happen as long as she gets to stay in with a place she gets to call her dungeon. Gideon is her foundling brother, and she loves him to death, and he loves her back. These two are like hand in hand, will do anything for the other person, and nobody's going to keep them apart. Now, in the books, he has select mutism, but then he only starts talking like a couple chapters of books in. In the show, he's very talkative, and he even sings, which is something he did not do in the books. Now, in the books, when he leaves from there, he goes into the military, and he shoots a guy, which really traumatizes him. And to get out of the army, he stabs himself in the eye. Him and Hetty don't really talk afterwards and stuff because, you know, he's in the military and stuff. Or Navy. I think I said army. Anyway, the Navy. In the show, it's completely different. He has a passion for singing, well, for the first season, and that's it. After that, it's completely abandoned. And his best friend is Matthias on the boys' wing. And so here, Hetty kind of messes up his solo act. See, there's a solo in the choir, and Sheila wants it, but Gideon also wants it as well. So When the nurse ends up getting like fired and stuff, Hetty wants her back, so she starts bribing the kids about like doing the strike. Well, the problem is she also bribed Sheila to get the solo. So when she tells Gideon that, he is pissed and wants nothing to do with her until he sabotages everything for the matron by singing a non-church type song. Gideon is also very smart, but he's not very good with the soldier stuff. He always turns in the wrong direction, and he has no interest in wanting to be a soldier. He's very caring and very sweet, and it's always great to see him and Hetty to like get her. And I'm really glad they race bent him to add more diversity to that of the show. Matthias is created for the show, and he's kind of like the leader of the boys. And so he's Gideon's best friend, and he befriends that of Hetty. He has a plan to get him and his friends to escape so they can go on a guy's boat. But they need somebody to forge a letter of recommendation, which Hetty does, because when she read his note, she said it didn't sound real enough. So on the big escape, which happens in the second episode, like I said before, Gideon got hurt. So Matthias is all like, yo man, I'm gonna have to leave you and everything. So he does, and he takes two of the boys. A whole episode passing towards the end when they find out somebody's been stealing food. It's him. He broke back into the foundlings hospital. And he is traumatized when he gets back because something terrible happened to him when he was away. They won't go into too much detail, but you see a flashback of him and the two other boys shackled to a wall. They never made it out to the boat and got to live out at sea. Now, the other two boys never came back. And he explains that, like, they were going to sell those boys and stuff. Until what exactly, don't know. Only your imagination can think of something. And so, like, he said he fought his way through, but he was unable to save the two guys, so like natural, and like he did with Gideon, he left them and stuff. And he feels terrible about doing that. Matron tries to like blackmail him or bribe him with candy like she does everybody else, talking about, you know, when the boys do bad stuff, I want you to rat them out. He's about to start doing that until he realized he's not going to obey that of an adult and do their bidding and stuff. He's kind of like Hetty, always breaking the rules and stuff. He has no interest whatsoever in joining the military because when a recruit comes there, they want them to like, you know, do this type of flag game. And so there's three obstacles they have to do. And he's literally just like, screw it, I'm not going to do it. But then for Walter, he really wanted to do that so he can find his foster father in Africa because he's stationed out there. So the recruitment dude sees that, you know, even though Matthias has no interest in it, he's willing to correct his mistake and help his friend out. And he doesn't abandon his friends. When Gideon, who's on Vince's team, and Vince is just like the bully, he's kind of like the male version of Sheila, but he just doesn't snitch, he just beats people up. He was going to make Gideon eat a slug. And Matthias came in and whooped his behind. They tussled and everything. And so the recruitment dude wants him to go with him, but he decides, nah, he ain't going to do that because he has his own fight, being at the founding hospital and having to take down Matron with Hetty and stuff, which causes Walter to also want to stay, even though he wants to be with his father. When it comes to Walter and the other guy with glasses, I can't remember his name, not much is known about them. They don't really do much in this season and stuff. They're just like all really good friends. They look out for each other. They're the main boys of the series, and they're all just created for the show. Harriet is Hetty's best friend. Now, they aged her down for the show. In the book, she is much older and she takes Hetty under her wing. But they wanted her and Hetty to have more of a, like, you know, a connection, so they aged her down. Basically, she's the one who never wants to get in trouble, but like, you can't do this, you can't do that. But she still goes along and help Hetty out with whatever kind of, like, you know, thing she has to do. Polly is her friend, and she's just in the show, don't do much. The actress later left a couple of seasons in because she went to go have her own show, Britannia, which I talked about. Go watch that. Mary slash Emily. So Mary is the most quiet of all the girls. She's the most timid. She's the most scared. She has no spine. She was put in a trench and had to have her hair cut off. What did she do to get put in there? Nobody knows. And when she came out, she said it changes you, being in the dark, having the rats crawling around and all this other stuff. It messed her up psychologically where she doesn't like to get in trouble. Well, these two adults came looking for their daughter, Emily. Matron got rid of her token and her papers, so Mary had no idea it was her. So, for some reason, Gideon thought those were his parents because Sheila made Mary write a false letter. Now, Gideon is black. Those two people are white. Why did he think those were his biological parents? Lord Jesus have mercy. In a way. And so when Hetty finds out who Mary really is, she tells her, look, man, this is your chance. You can leave this place. But she's too scared, and she's too scared of Matron. But then when Hetty, like I said, found her, like, you know, her token and her papers and stuff, she told, like, you know, Mary, but Mary didn't want to do it. Mary slash Emily wrote a fake letter and everything, pretending to be the matron, talking about she made a mistake and that, yes, this is in fact Emily, because that girl wanted to get the heck on out of there. It's the most uplifting moment ever, because that girl finally got some backbone. Sheila, her last name got changed for the show. Nobody likes Sheila. In the book, she is a bully because she will literally beat you up. And she even punched that of Hetty in the face in the book. The show is much different. In the show, she is a tattletale, a snitch. To get privileges and stuff like go to the restroom, your own brush, or like candy, she will snitch on somebody no matter what it is and stuff. And she hates Hetty Feather to death. And so she's always trying to find out what Hetty does and tell Matron, and to the point where Hetty, like, you know, with the help of her friends, able to get out of the danger. And next thing you know, it looks like Sheila is lying to where she gets her hair chopped off along with her friends. And so, like, she's a terrible, rotten little girl who only does what she does just to get privileges and stuff. Until the last episode when Hetty gave her that talking down to, talking about how you're nothing, we're nothing, and like we have to look out for each other. And when when Matron wants her to rat her out, she won't do it and everything. But then it comes next season, she's back to doing what she does. Now, her friend with the dark hair is in the book, but her other friend, Elizabeth, is not. I think the dark haired one's called Monica, I think. And she's in the book, but the other girl is just made up for the show. And they don't do much, just follow her around because they're a clique. Daniel Cromburn is the dude who's in charge of the boys. He's made up for the show. And he's pretty much like an upstanding gentleman type person. A little bit nerdy and everything. And you know, he's all around like nice, but he has some sternness to him. But for the most part, he is nice, a whole lot nicer than Matron. And so, like, he kind of just has this nerdy exterior, but in a very British kind of way, you know what I'm saying? And like, when Hetty's about to be sold, he believes Matron when she tells him the lie of donating the money and this and that. But you know he doesn't fully believe it. He's all like, oh, well, I'll donate the money myself instead of giving it to Matron because he suspects that she is up to something. And like, you know, if she ends up getting fired or something like that, then there's no telling who else is going to take her place. And so he can handle her for the most part, but she does tell him like what to do at times and stuff. But when she gets caught, she does get scared, like when he starts getting like authoritative and stuff. As for the two nurses, one is made up for the show, the white one. The black one is in the books. And I think it's Winifil or Winnie or something like that. They call her Nurse Winnie. I think it's Winsterson, I think. She's really kind, sweet, caring, She helps with the choir and everything. When Hetty got sick and almost died of influenza, she was there to like help out, and Hetty helped like this one boy who was like really sick. Basically, Hetty got in trouble with her and Sheila, and they had to like help this little boy, just like cheer him up and everything, because he's really sad and he knows he's terminally ill and stuff like that. She ended up getting fired because she went to go see a concert, and the matron thought that was like the devil's music and stuff like that, and especially when she started playing like upbeat music and stuff. But then she later got her job back. Matron Gertie Bottomley, who Hetty likes to call Matron Stinky Bottomley. She's a hybrid of two characters in the book. She is the other one takes care of like the babies, and she doesn't make it in the show. Now, Matron is about as evil as they come. She runs that hospital like a type ship. Any disobedience and she will discipline you in a heartbeat. She will punish you, she will beat you, she will put you in the trench, she will starve you, she will chop your hair off, she will constantly make you do chores. Now, in the show, she has a criminal past. She was placed in the workhouse and stuff like that by her mother. Now, in the books, nothing like that has ever happened. But she's basically a criminal in the show, stealing money, donation money, getting bribes from people. She works with this one man to create, like, Jack in the Boxes, but the paint is toxic and making the kids sick, but she doesn't care because she's gonna sell them with him and everything, until Hetty spoils it and like ruins all the with the rest of the kids, ruin like all the Jack in the Boxes, and Mr. Born like finds out and stuff like that. And basically she is a grifter, she is a con person. She would do anything for money, even sell the foundlings and stuff. And you're not supposed to sell those kids because one, that's illegal, and two, they're underage. But she does not care. And she's constantly stealing the money from like donations and stuff. And even when like this really fancy rich dude, who is the cousin, I believe, of Cromburn, his daughter wants a friend to go to India with, so she's gonna sell Hetty and everything, and she did it with a bride. And that is the kind of person she is. Now, she does have a mother sold into her workplace, and she has a sister. Her sister is kind and sweet. Her sister comes to her and be all like, mother is dying, and Bottomley wants nothing to do with her. So her sister left her a necklace with her mom's hair in it. And it got to the point where she's going to go visit her mom, but it was too late. And then the next episode, we see her looking at the hair. So she actually does care a little bit. But she hates Hetty to death. And she's always bribing the kids with like toffee candy. And it's really interesting to see her and Hetty go head to head with each other, because she's like a middle-aged lady and Hetty's just like a 12-year-old girl. But when I say this woman is cruel and evil, I mean she is cruel and evil. And it only gets worse as the series continue. So this is a very good, uplifting, emotional show. It's a teen drama, but it doesn't even feel like that. It feels like an actual adult drama, and it's better than that of an adult drama. And, this is a show that everybody needs to check out at least once and everything, because I love the fact you can watch shows from other countries, because it's interesting what they do differently from your own country, and this is an extraordinary good show. Happy Women's History Month, everybody. All right, well, I'll talk to you later. Bye.